Hey guys, how you going? This is BillyEatWorld, and today we're going to take a look at the brand new fall patch for Battlefield 4. This update added the new map that you can see in this video, Operation Outbreak, as well as the M60 ULT pickup weapon and literally hundreds of other tweaks and fixes. Obviously, there's way too many updates to cover in this video, so what I'm going to do is focus on the ones that I think are most important. If you want to take a look at the full patch notes though, well, I'll leave the link in the description below and you can go and take a look for yourself. Before we start though, I should point out that most of the tweaks in this patch have been to the vehicles, and that's not really what I'm going to cover in this video. In 2 years, I think I've only made a total of about one vehicle video, so I'm guessing that's not the sort of thing you expect to see on this channel anyway. There are quite a few infantry changes in this patch though, and not surprisingly, a lot of them are dealing with the anti-vehicle gadgets. There's also quite a few subtle changes under the hood as well as a few changes to the UI, so let's take a look because many of them are pretty easy to miss. But anyway, to kick off in terms of weapons and gadgets, well, the C4 has got a nerf across the board and now has about a 20% smaller blast radius than it did before the patch. It's now also got a longer time to resupply, so hopefully this will prevent players from spamming C4 on close range maps like Operation Metro. Also, the blast radius and the damage of the UCAV has got a nerf, and it now only does about half the damage it did to vehicles. As a trade-off, the replenish time has also been buffed to 40 seconds though, so unfortunately I guess we're not going to see this gadget nerfed out of existence anytime soon. As for engineers, well, the Stinger and the Eagler have both seen some big changes with an increase to their damage at the expense of manoeuvrability. Their lock-on time has also been slightly nerfed, so I'm guessing the idea of these changes was to make the missiles less consistent, but slightly more powerful. Also, the Shraw has once again been changed to make it more consistent, and it looks as though the general idea was to increase manoeuvrability at the expense of damage. To be honest, I don't really use this gadget, but I know how popular it is, so maybe some of you guys can tell me what you think of this change in the comments section below. Now, onto the recon kit. Well, sadly, the long-range sniping MVP dream is well and truly out the window now, with the marksman bonus being reduced to a flat 25 points. Previously, when you got a headshot with a sniper rifle, you used to get a bonus equal to the distance, which meant that you could dominate the scoreboard if you were landing shots at long range. Also, speaking of sniper rifles, well, kind of, the Mayor's Leg has had its damage drop-off extended to 60 meters so that it now has a slight edge over the 44 Magnum. Will this mean it'll actually see play? Well, probably not, but at least they're trying to make it better considering there wasn't really any reason to use it before the patch. And finally, the Assault Kit has got surprisingly few changes in this patch, with only really a couple of changes to the M320 and the M26. In a nutshell, the 3GL now has a better blast radius and more ammo, and the underbarrel shotguns are now more consistent and a bit more usable. And speaking of shotguns, well, thankfully they've been nerfed again at mid-range, and in general they've been balanced across the board to make them more similar to each other. The shotguns were starting to take over TDM after they got a buff, so I think this is a really good change, and hopefully TDM is a bit more fun to play in the future. Now, generally speaking, most BF4 updates include some sort of changes to the HUD and the UI, and the fall patch definitely has a few of its own. Most importantly, the hardline minimap mechanics have been added so that you can now tell if someone is above or below you. Also, speaking of Doritos, smoke grenades can now unspot players inside the smoke, and night vision scopes can no longer see straight through them. This is a big change I've been hoping they'd make for years now, and after this, I know I'm probably going to be running some type of smoke in pretty much all my loadouts. Another interesting change is that the lock-on range of the PLD has been increased, and the lock-on time for laser designators has been reduced. Pretty much no one I know uses the PLD or the SOFLAM to actually lock on to vehicles, so you never know, this might actually become a thing now. And speaking of lock-on weapons, well, interestingly enough, DICE have chosen to get rid of the ability of players to use lock-on weapons in vehicles. According to them, vehicles are meant to be able to get away from infantry, and when a squad is using lock-on weapons in a jeep, this isn't exactly possible. Now, last but not least, in terms of general improvements, well, the main change is that the objective bonuses have been increased in Conquest, Rush and Obliteration. I think this is a really important change for the new skill-based matchmaking, because score per minute is a big factor in calculating skill, and this should make the auto balancer more accurate. Also, apparently the issue with auto balancing in Rush has been fixed, and players will no longer have to play either attack or defense over and over again. I'm not sure this won't have any negative effects on the team balance, which is pretty bad already, but I'd rather have to deal with this than to have to deal with constant team switching. Also, coming over from Hardline, well, the squad leader auto kick has finally been added into BF4, so you better watch out if you're a squad leader and you don't give orders. If another player requests an order and you don't respond to it, the new system will automatically kick you out and make them the squad leader after 30 seconds. And finally, under the hood, high tick rate servers of more than 60 Hz have finally been enabled, which should improve the netcode a fair bit. Just be aware though that you will need an internet connection capable of keeping up with the higher bandwidth, so if you don't have this, it might be worth just sticking with regular servers. But anyway guys, that just about wraps up this video, so let me know what you think of the fall patch, and as always, if you like what you see, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Also, check out the links in the description below if you want to see more of my videos, or if you want to support my channel on Patreon, and until next time, see you later, and have a good one.